Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for tuning in to Science and Civilization of Islam with your host, Brother ElijahShabazzBah. For today's show, we will explore the Fulani history of North America with particular emphasis on South Carolina. Stay tuned.
To make these G's and pass it to our seeds. Ain't nothing but a thing, but things ain't what they always appear. Just can't believe what they talk in your ear. Gotta know when to tell them fall to the rear. What you say out your mouth ain't all that I hear. Some of y'all are just so disloyal. I put you on, now you wanna watch me for you. Slip and fall just like a slide in oil. And walk by and leave me to dry as soil. I don't know why when all I ever did was lift ya. Put you on the map, never did forget ya. You get a little shine, you don't know me. No man, no man. I do it from the heart so you don't owe me. Oh man, oh man. Life is full of slow runners and fast ones. The slow ones seem to catch up with the fast ones. The fast ones seem to wind up as the last ones. The slow ones finally catch up and they pass them. How long I been into this game? Some of y'all know me by face and by name. Some of y'all that I even taught and I trained. But you run behind these cats with the fortune and fame, and it's all good. I love to see you with success. I don't hate when the birds finally leave the nest. But how you not gonna want to eat or be blessed? I give freely, but y'all holding back on the ES. Loyalty is what we need to make these G's and pass it to our seeds. Loyalty is what we need to make these G's and pass it to our seeds.
Loyalty is to commit to your trust, and you talking like you gangster and you don't really spit what you clutch. Your loyalty must really don't mean much, cause y'all have blacks walking in the heat and dogs on the air-conditioned bus. They said a wave hit it, I think they did it. Knock down the levees and let the water stay in it. America, your time is up. Farrar gave it to Elijah and Farrakhan give it to us. Check it, real niggas do what they feel, and I'm loyal to the essence and the force behind Ezekiel's will. I live in the game, but most of all I live with pain and feel a million times smaller than a drop of rain. And I'm loyal to the ground and the drain, and I come in different forms while I maintain how I change. And my blood is royalty in my vein, but it means nothing without loyalty to my heart and my brain.
Loyalty, come on, is what we need. Say what, to make these G's, come on, and pass it to our seeds. Come on, loyalty, say what, is what we need. Come on, to make these G's, come on, and pass it to our seeds. Come on now, get it. Say what now? Get it up, come on now, give it up, bring it, loyalty, come on now, give it up, say what now, get it up, come on now, give it up, come on. Loyalty. It separates the men from the boys, chicks from the women, the real politicking from noise, beginners from ending, the hidden agenda employs, friends that's pretending, you know the real chicken from soy. Loyalty. It's that ring on your finger, when everybody knows it's not just a ring on your finger. Any man who won't support his own fam, you can't forget it, he's suspect, he will sell you out in a minute. Loyalty. It's when you stay true to your culture and you don't trade it in to fit into another. Whether the going's good or the going gets worse, you always put your God and your people first. Loyalty. It gains you the respect of others when you protect your sister and you honor your mother. You lock on with your brothers, give your fathers due. Cause no matter what, without him there be no you. And above all, stay loyal to the truth. Don't be a snitch, plead the fifth, don't let these devils judge you. Nudge you against your own peace. The more we turn on each other, the more we stay under the control of the beast. It's loyalty. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I was always taught that when a man turns 40 years old, certain spiritual changes are supposed to happen. The Holy Quran says that the weaning takes 2 years, but it also says that when a man reaches his level of maturity at 40 years old. Well, it was my 40th year, and two very spiritual things occurred to me in my 40th year of life. The first among them was that I began studying the Arabic language, and by the grace of Allah, within 9 months before the month of Ramadan in 2011, I was able to read the Quran in Arabic from cover to cover in my 9th month. It was like a birth, a spiritual birth. But something else happened during that month of Ramadan. I was at a masjid on 29th Street in Manhattan, and there were 2 lines. There was one line for the bathroom, where you go to relieve yourself. Then there's the line for the wudu, where you go to wash up for prayer. And there was a brother standing there. I thought he was waiting to go into the bathroom. So I walked in front of him to go to the wudu station, and the brother walked up to me and he started chiding me. But he was chiding me in a language that was unfamiliar to me consciously. But this language that he was speaking had me in a state of suspense, because there was something in me that was telling me that I am supposed to know what he's saying to me. But though my conscious mind couldn't make it out, my subconscious, my spiritual mind was saying that I'm supposed to know what this man is telling me. I'm supposed to understand this language. So he's talking to me in this language, and he's getting upset because I am not responding. Then another brother that was sitting across from us began laughing. He says, "Oh, he thinks you're somebody else." And then that statement took me out of my state of suspense, or a trance, if you will, and I sat down, still in a state of awe, like as to say, what was that just happened to me? So when I sat down next to the brother and we began to wash up for prayer, the brother apologized to me in English. He said, "Oh, I thought you were Fulani." And what I was saying to you basically was that I was asking why you skipped me to go to the wudu station. Now, that experience stuck with me, and I kept it in the back of my mind. Something else happened that same year. My family, the Holiday family, had a family reunion. And during this family reunion, my granduncle came in town, and he gave us a history of our family. And he spoke about our roots in South Carolina. So after having this experience at the masjid, I still didn't put 2 and 2 together. So as time went on, and I'm going through Harlem, I noticed a lot of West Africans began to move in. And every time I go among them, I get a similar response. When I sit in their restaurants, they look at me. They give me this particular look. And then when they begin talking to me and I talk back in English, they go, "Oh, I thought you were Fulani." So after this happened to me time after time, I began to do some research. First of all, let's talk about South Carolina. During the time of the colonial period, South Carolina was the richest state in the Union, bar none. The wealth of South Carolina was twice the wealth of Philadelphia and New York, which were at one point, both were considered the capital of the country, and New York at one time was considered the financial capital of the country, but yet South Carolina was said to be twice as rich as New York and Philadelphia. In this book by Judith A. Carney called Black Rice, she says the following: as with the earlier demand for Fula, meaning Fulani cattle herders, planters sought the specific skills of slaves originating in the rice region. Newspapers advertised impending sales of slaves skilled in rice. One ad in Charleston boasted of 250 slaves from the Wynwood and Rice Coast valued for their knowledge of rice culture. Another on July 11, 1785, announced the arrival of a Danish ship with the choice cargo of Wynwood and Gold Coast Negroes who have been accustomed to the planting of rice. Now, these type of ads shows South Carolina's predilection for slaves with skills in rice, particularly the Fulani slaves. Now, why the Fulani slaves? Well, according to now and according to then, the Fulani are cattle herders. And this cattle herding culture, as well as farming culture, complements each other. She says further in the book, the West African region bifurcates into a northern and southern portion at about 35 inches of annual precipitation. The result is two distinctive land use systems for rice cultivation that inform the practices brought by West African slaves to Carolina plantations. In the northern half, cultivation unfolds on wetlands in conjunction with cattle grazing. South of the area where annual rainfall exceeds 35 inches, animals figure less centrally as land use shifts from an agro-pastoral to a mostly agricultural system. So, I want to read another passage where she talks about how this system works, because the Fulani had a particular method of growing rice. Their cattle will eat the stubs of the rice that were left over, and their fertilizer from the cattle will help the rice to grow. So this rotation of cattle grazing and land use that was a system among the Fulani made them prime choice to be captured by slave traders. So they didn't just go after any old group of black people. They went after these specific people. And South Carolina and Virginia were two of the main areas that had the most Fulani. But particular South Carolina, because they were rich or made rich from rice export. It was their number one product. They not only serviced America with rice, but they also serviced Europe. They were involved in international trade, which leads me to believe that the reason why they succeeded from the Union was because they were making so much money they really didn't need the Union. They could have been a nation on their own, being that they were making just as much money as the two strongest northern cities, which was New York and Philadelphia. But what also makes South Carolina very special, as it says in this book, Africanisms in American Culture, Fulani, accustomed to cattle raising in the Footajalan area of their homeland, oversaw the rapid expansion of colonial cattle herd from a total of 500 in 1731 to 6,784 30 years later. So they imported not just the Fulani, but they imported their cattle. These Fulani expert cattlemen were responsible for introducing the husbandry patterns of open grazing practiced in the American cattle industry up until this very day. This African innovation allowed efficient use of abundant land with a limited amount of labor force. The Europeans' initial cargo would be assigned to the field was directly attributed to their acquaintance with the cultivation of rice, South Carolina's principal crop during the colonial period. Other slave advertisements mention other regions. So there was something about the cattle. Now, anybody who knows something about Fulani people, it is said that they treat their cattle like children. But these cattle, the 500 cattle that were there before they brought the Fulani herds over, they would die from what they call the tsetse fly. The tsetse fly would kill their cattle, but it was something about Fulani cattle that made them immune to the tsetse fly. Also, we learned about the Gullah people, and I always thought that the Gullah people were free because they were like the slaves in Brazil who went and hid away from the slave master and they couldn't find them. But that wasn't the case. The West Africans, being particular the Fulani and others, the Mandinka and other tribes, they were conditioned to swamplands. Their bodies were immune to the mosquitoes that would kill Europeans every time they go into the swamplands. So they left the Fulani, they left the slaves from the rice coast alone because their bodies were immune and they were able to grow rice there because the swamplands were the perfect condition and are the perfect condition for growing certain grades of rice. So instead of trying to be their overseer and oversee them, they just let them live. They let them go. They let them exist with little to no oversight. So the Gullah people are said to have never been enslaved because of their resistance to the dangers that are presented in swamplands. So this Fulani culture impacted America in so many different ways. When I was coming up, I always, when you said the word cowboy, I automatically would think of the Long Ranger, with his mask, riding with Tonto. And as I began to study the Fulani culture in South Carolina, I realized that the original cowboys were the Fulani. The term that they used for the slaves was boy. They called the slaves boy. They didn't call them men. And the Fulanis rode the horses and they herded the cattle, and which are cows. Now you think of cowboy, you think of a white dude on a horse. But it was the Fulani that they called boys that would herd the cattle that started the whole cowboy culture in North America. There's so much we could say on this topic, but because of limited time, I just wanted to bring it back to my personal experience, and it really erased the wonder in my mind of why the West Africans looked at me and saw me as a Fulani, and now I know, thoroughly 100% sure that I am a Fulani. And as I study the characteristics of Fulani people and study myself and study my family, they say black folks are lactose intolerant. Fulani's favorite favorite product is milk, because they're cattle herders. They love their milk. They love their pudding. They love their cheese, their yogurt, and so have I my whole life. Since I was young, the Fulani being a nomadic people, I always thought my family got their nomadic ways from mixing with Indians. And not to say black people are not mixed with Indians, but Fulanis are the biggest nomadic tribe on earth. And me personally, ever since I was like 19 years old, I would walk miles as a child. I would walk miles, and walking from Brooklyn to the Bronx, and when I went to California, I walked from Long Beach to Hollywood. And I always picture myself, long before I discovered my Fulani roots, that I would be I was in Africa just walking from country to country, which the Fulanis do. My whole family, when I studied the faces of the Fulani people, and I looked at the faces of my brothers, my sisters, my cousins, my uncle, no doubt we are Fulani people. And again, just the nomadic characteristics of my family. When we have a family conference call, we have to include every time zone because my family is just spread out all over the country from the west to the east. And we just have those traits that are inherited in us. The fact that I was able to learn Arabic so quickly, the Fulani, there's 1 million books in Timbuktu, and most of it is written in Arabic and Pula, which is the Fulani language. And they say that the Fulani set the curriculum for Mali. I mean, the Fulani are just a great people all over West Africa. You have a lot of Hal Pula speakers who are not Fulani but who speak their language, and they're the heroes of West Africa and Senegal. The great Amadou Bamba. I hope I said his name right. It's the hero of Senegal. The first president of Cameroon is a Fulani. The richest black person, Aliko, Dan Gote. I hope I'm saying his name right. From Nigeria, Fulani. Again, a lot of the heroes, a lot of the presidents of Mali, and just the Murtala Muhammad Airport in Nigeria. We could go on and on and on. And this is not to promote tribalism, but for us as black people in America, just being stripped and taken away from our heritage to find out what people we come from, it just does something for us. It just gives us direction in life. And we no longer feel like we're the lost and found. We just feel like we're found now. The Quran says, surely I've created you in tribes and families so that you may know one another. And in every tribe, he puts certain characteristics so that we can vie in righteous competition to help each other and to help humanity. So I thank you for listening to this program. I thank you for listening to my personal experience. And I pray that every single one of you who have not found your roots, that you would search. I would advise you to contact the elders in your family and just take it link by link. You could go through the census reports. You could do the African American DNA testing. I mean, it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And all of us who have been through this know the feeling of just knowing who you are and knowing your roots. So thank you. Thank you so much for listening, and may Allah bless every single one of you. Assalamu alaikum.
It's about that time to get paid. Cool in the shade, drink a little bit of lemonade.
2000.
Let me tell you.
10. I want it just to be special, beyond the threshold. With pain meets pleasure and you learn to let go. The strain leads to leisure and the pain seems to please your entertainment doesn't teach. Holla if you know what he does. Chillax and lay back on my futon sleep. Eyes closed, it's like a bed in the Marriott suite. A fine car, but a train gets me where I should be. No caviar, cheap Navy beans are healthy to eat. I'm that poor righteous teacher known around many towns. Stop me anywhere. I get around from New York to New York, PA to Chi-Town. Strong out with the young gods. Gather around, school them from gangster to guards. And theoretical odds become a page in my book that fades away with the stars. The math on my watch said it's time to move on to the next job. Catch the L-I-R-R. Come on. And you're doing it with Shabazz. Categorically speaking, I can't be categorized. You can't put the God in the box. Though I am a surprise, you can't begin to comprehend with your eyes who I am through a walk lane. I'm time traveling, I always win. It's like a series of events, select the domino effect and watch it begin. I'm not the chip, but the cause of the effect moving it. I set it off, walk away, I know where it will hit. As I lit, I spark a light in the triple dark night. In the mind, the street brothers that clash in broad daylight. Their mind sight is a distorted lens. The way the light bends, blurs, they surge to vision. I get a word message from Elijah Muhammad. Bean pie for his stomach, open his eyes and make him rise to his stomach. And the same thugs who smashed the hood and ruined it will build. You're doing it with Shabazz.